Let me get real with you. I want to tell you a story. I thought about this because I was watching a thing on the news about high school, and then I flipped through my old high school yearbook, and there's the realization that, I left high school decades ago, 25 years ago. And I saw this thing on high school, and it reminded me how much high school really fucking sucked. As might be pretty obvious, I was picked on a lot in high school. I was very, very nerdy looking. I had huge, thick 80s glasses. I had long hair because I was trying to be the Undertaker and shit. And that's how I was. And I kept doing it because, despite the fact that I looked awful, that's the way I wanted to look. Even if other people didn't see it the way I did. You know how when you see, like, this jacket that looks really cool, and then you buy it, you come home, and you don't look as cool as the guy in the thing. But in your mind, you see it. But it's not there. You know, like when somebody does something because it's a style, but it doesn't work on them? It was kind of like that. I saw what I wanted to see. And I remember, I was looking at how people were talking about, how bad it was for people at school. How bad it is for people. And I emphasize the word people in high school. Because high school is a very strange place where you're still treated like a kid, given roughly a child's life, but you're an adult. And it reminds me that there's things that you just can't force. You can't force maturity without hardship. Nothing creates maturity faster than being in a situation where you have no choice but to be mature. But I digress. It seems like a very dialectical thing, high school is, where you're supposed to be one thing but also another thing at the same time, and this is supposed to be the transition between the two. And I can tell you for a fact, dude, I remember that fucking sucking. I remember waking up in the morning, do anything but go to school because I hated it. I didn't do my work because I hated the environment. I hated the people that were around me. I hated the place. I hated the work. And so I made the mistake of not doing the work and paid the price for it later. So I know a lot of you are probably going through, because I'm going to guess there's a lot of teenagers in my audience, and I'm guessing a lot of you are probably going through something similar right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. School fucking sucks. And I can't think of anything that would actually make school better. Who knows? But I do want you to know that high school is not forever. The younger you are, the less developed your perception of time is. You've always heard people say, where did the years go, blah, blah, blah. And you have no idea what they're talking about because nothing goes quick. That's because the older you get, the more time you've experienced. And the more time you've experienced, the faster it passes. You'll ask anybody who was 20 and then became 30, and then became 40 and became 50. Each decade passes faster and faster because our subjective perception of time changes. Like the first time you watch a commercial, it seems like the commercial takes forever. And the second time you watch that commercial, it goes quickly. That might just be a way some people could look at it. So at your age, as a teenager, time is still dragging on for a goddamn eternity. Everything seems longer than it is. And that feeling seeps into your mind that school, because that's all you've ever experienced is school. That's what life is. And anytime something goes wrong or gets tough or gets bullshit, really, not even just tough, just bullshit, shouldn't have happened at all, what do they tell you? Well, that's just part of being an adult. Which is true. Being an adult is dealing with unending amounts of fucking bullshit. But it's not high school forever. One day you're going to be gone, and you'll never have to see that place ever again. You will never have to deal with the people that are there. You will never have to think about it ever again. And if maybe that's enough to help you get through the day, then so be it. Because I remember going through high school, and I did not know at the time that I was mentally ill. I had very real mental health problems that went undiagnosed. ADD was something that was just appearing at the time. Nobody even understood what it was yet. And I had ADD. Autism was something that was completely unheard of. No one had even ever heard of it before. Now, I didn't have autism, but now when I look back, I know some people that did. And it was a real... I mean, I don't want to be that douche that says, oh yeah, when I was your age, it was like blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, I don't mean to sound that way, but in this case, it's kind of true. It was the Wild West back then. You know, homophobia wasn't even actually against the rules when I was in high school. You could literally beat someone up for being gay, and the only thing that made you break the rules was the fact that you beat somebody up. You could yell, derogatory sexual minority epithets at people, and it was common. I got called faggot I can't even count how many times a day. You long-haired faggot, four-eyed faggot. Yeah, for some reason people were still using the term four eyes back then. I don't know why. And that was considered acceptable. That was just the way high school was, and school didn't even do anything about it. Now imagine if you actually were gay back then. And I did know some guys. They didn't say they were gay, but you could really tell that they were. So discriminating against them wasn't even actually against the rules. Never mind, whether or not people actually do it. Whether or not they actually enforce the rule. The rule did not even exist. And I can't tell you how many times I wanted to do shit to that school because it was so horrible. I'm not going to specify what that is. Let me just put it that way. And every time a mental illness of mine would flare up, or someone else's, they would say the same thing. Look, life's hard. You just got to get used to it. This is what life is. Completely ignoring the fact that mental illness was the problem, and then thus remained undiagnosed. And how was I ever supposed to know that something was wrong with me? Because when I felt awful all the time, they just kept telling me, that's life. That's growing up. So then you get it into your head that the horrible way that you feel now is the rest of your goddamn life. You got 65 more years of feeling like this. And that was my future. 65 fucking years of feeling that way. I didn't even get properly diagnosed until I was in my 30s. I went decades with this kind of mental health problem, and going completely undiagnosed. Because even when I got to being an adult, people literally just said, shut up. Suck it up, life's hard. And so I didn't even know there was something wrong with me. How was I supposed to know? Because every time I said I felt something was wrong, they said there wasn't. And that's the way life feels. And that's really fucking dangerous to do to a teenager. Now as an adult, I can tell them to fuck off. I know there's a problem. But that's not fair to do to a teenager who doesn't know any better, who has never experienced anything else, and thus does not know what normal is because they've never had it. If every day you walked outside your entire life, the sky was green, would you even know that something was wrong? You couldn't know that the sky isn't supposed to be green unless somebody told you. Because you've never experienced anything otherwise. And that's kind of bullshit and unfair to do to people. But that's how it was back then. You didn't even diagnose mental illnesses back then. You just got disciplined. So I know right now a lot of you are thinking you really fucking hate schoolwork. Particularly high school. And yeah, I hated it too. But I'm telling you right now, just do it. Just get the work done. If you want, skip all the social shit. Don't even interact with people, etc. Just get the work done. I remember a teacher telling me some bullshit line like, oh, just think of it as a job, except you get paid in marks instead of money. And all I thought was, well, then I want a fucking union. Of course, you don't get one. So yeah, I know that this is all fucked up. It's bullshit. It's horrible. It's probably fucking destroying you on the inside. I'm not going to tell you everything's going to be okay, because it may not be. You may have an undiagnosed mental health problem that's not being taken care of. But I can tell you this, and this is true. High school does not last forever. If you're having a problem, tell somebody. And if they don't listen, yell at them until they do. I don't know how many people out there saw the movie Bowling for Columbine. I was in high school when that happened. When the Columbine shooting happened, I was in high school. And I was wearing a trench coat. Because my great-grandmother had bought it for me, and it was a nice fucking Italian one. And there was no way I was giving that up. It was sweet. These trench coats look fucking great on tall people, even though I looked like a nerd or a douche or whatever it is that you want to call it. And, you know, the kind of the witch hunt that went on after that, looking for who was going to be the next school shooter, even though I wasn't even American, even though we weren't even in America. The point of this tangent is, the guys who shot up Columbine were 2 weeks away from graduation. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they would have never had to see that place ever again. They would never have had to see those people ever again. They would never have had to experience that place ever again. Just 2 weeks. And if they had just waited, everything would have been better. So I'm telling you, yeah, school fucking sucks. But college and university, if you get to go, are not like high school. And that was one of the fears that was in the back of my mind. No matter how bad high school is, and it's bad, trust me, I know, it's not forever. The day will come when that bullshit comes to an end. So I know it sounds like bullshit, but if you need to, just turtle yourself. Tuck it in, don't interact with people, whatever. Whatever you need to do to get through the day. Just make sure you get through the day. Get your work done to the best of your ability, and you'll never have to see that place ever again. And I'm sorry for going on this kind of emotional shit, but you know, I saw some statistics about high school, and I saw this documentary, and And then I remembered some stuff from Bowling for Columbine, and then I remembered my own fucking life. So, just remember, if there's anything you can take away from this, just remember, high school is not forever. It's bullshit, but one day it will stop. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.